Barack Hussein Obama was born on August 4, 1961, Honolulu, Hawaii, U.S. He was the 44th President of the United States and the first African American to hold the office. Before winning the presidency, Obama represented Illinois in the U.S. Senate. He was the third African American to be elected to that body since the end of Reconstruction in 1877. In 2009, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his extraordinary efforts to strengthen international diplomacy and cooperation between peoples. Obama's father, Barack Obama, Sr., was a teenage goatherd in rural Kenya, won a scholarship to study in the United States, and eventually became a senior economist in the Kenyan government. Obama's mother, Ann Dunham, grew up in Kansas, Texas, and Washington State before her family settled in Honolulu. In 1960 she and Barack Sr. met in a Russian language class at the University of Hawaii and married less than a year later. When Obama was age 2, Barack Sr. left to study at Harvard University. Shortly thereafter, in 1964, Ann and Barack Sr. divorced. Obama saw his father only one more time, during a brief visit when Obama was 10. Later Ann remarried, this time to another foreign student, Lela Satoro from Indonesia, with whom she had a second child, Maya. Obama lived for several years in Jakarta with his half-sister, mother, and stepfather. While there, Obama attended both a government-run school where he received some instruction in Islam and a Catholic private school where he took part in Christian schooling. He returned to Hawaii in 1971 and lived in a modest apartment, sometimes with his grandparents and sometimes with his mother. She remained for a time in Indonesia, returned to Hawaii, and then went abroad again partly to pursue work on a PhD, before divorcing Satoro in 1980. For a brief period his mother was aided by government food stamps, but the family mostly lived a middle-class existence. In 1979 Obama graduated from Punahou School, an elite college preparatory academy in Honolulu. Obama attended Occidental College in suburban Los Angeles for 2 years and then transferred to Columbia University in New York City, where in 1983 he received a bachelor's degree in political science. Influenced by professors who pushed him to take his studies more seriously, Obama experienced great intellectual growth during college and for a couple of years thereafter. He led a rather ascetic life and read works of literature and philosophy by William Shakespeare, Friedrich Nietzsche, Toni Morrison, and others. After serving for a couple of years as a writer and editor for Business International Corporation, a research, publishing, and consulting firm in Manhattan, he took a position in 1985 as a community organizer on Chicago's largely impoverished Far South Side. He returned to school 3 years later and graduated magna cum laude in 1991 from Harvard University's Law School, where he was the first African American to serve as president of the Harvard Law Review. While a summer associate in 1989 at the Chicago law firm of Sidley Austin, Obama had met Chicago native Michelle Robinson, the young lawyer at the firm. The two married in 1992. After receiving his law degree, Obama moved to Chicago and became active in the Democratic Party. He organized Project Vote, a drive that registered tens of thousands of African Americans on voting rolls and that is credited with helping Democrat Bill Clinton win Illinois and capture the presidency in 1992. The effort also helped make Carol Moseley Braun, an Illinois state legislator, the first African-American woman elected to the U.S. Senate. During this period, Obama wrote his first book and saw it published. The memoir, Dreams from My Father, 1995, is the story of Obama's search for his biracial identity by tracing the lives of his now-deceased father and his extended family in Kenya. Obama lectured on constitutional law at the University of Chicago and worked as an attorney on civil rights issues. In 1996, he was elected to the Illinois Senate, where, most notably, he helped pass legislation that tightened campaign finance regulations, expanded health care to poor families, and reformed criminal justice and welfare laws. In 2004, he was elected to the U.S. Senate, defeating Republican Alan Keyes in the first U.S. Senate race in which the two leading candidates were African Americans. While campaigning for the U.S. Senate, Obama gained national recognition by delivering the keynote address at the Democratic National Convention in July 2004. The speech wove a personal narrative of Obama's biography with a theme that all Americans are connected in ways that transcend political, cultural, and geographical differences. The address lifted Obama's once obscure memoir onto bestseller lists, and, after taking office the following year, Obama quickly became a major figure in his party. A trip to visit his father's home in Kenya in August 2006 gained international media attention, and Obama's star continued ascending. His second book, The Audacity of Hope, 2006, a mainstream polemic on his vision for the United States, was published weeks later, instantly becoming a major bestseller. In February 2007 he announced at the old state capitol in Springfield, Illinois, where Abraham Lincoln had served as a state legislator, that he would seek the Democratic Party's presidential nomination in 2008. For coverage of the 2008 election, see United States presidential election of 2008. Obama's personal charisma, stirring oratory, and his campaign promise to bring change to the established political system resonated with many Democrats, especially young and minority voters. On January 3, 2008, Obama won a surprise victory in the first major nominating contest, the Iowa caucus, over Senator Hillary Clinton, who was the overwhelming favorite to win the nomination. 5 days later, however, Obama finished second to Clinton in the New Hampshire primary, and a bruising and sometimes bigger primary race ensued. Obama won more than a dozen states including Illinois, his home state, and Missouri, the traditional political bellwether on Super Tuesday, February 5. No clear frontrunner for the nomination emerged, however, as Clinton won many states with large populations, such as California and New York. Obama produced an impressive string of victories later in the month, handily winning the 11 primaries and caucuses that immediately followed Super Tuesday, which gave him a significant lead and pledged delegates. His momentum slowed in early March when Clinton won significant victories in Ohio and Texas. Though still maintaining his edge in delegates, Obama lost the key Pennsylvania primary on April 22. 2 weeks later he lost a close contest in Indiana but won the North Carolina primary by a large margin, wiping his delegate lead over Clinton. She initially had a big lead in so-called superdelegates. Democratic Party officials allocated votes at the convention that were unaffiliated with state primary results, but, with Obama winning more states and actual delegates, many peeled away from her and went to Obama. On June 3, following the final primaries in Montana and South Dakota, the number of delegates pledged to Obama surpassed the total necessary to claim the Democratic nomination. On August 27, Obama became the first African American to be nominated for the presidency by either major party and went on to challenge Republican Senator John McCain for the country's highest office. McCain criticized Obama, still a first-term senator, as being too inexperienced for the job. To counter, Obama selected Joe Biden, a veteran senator from Delaware who had a long resume of foreign policy expertise, to be his vice presidential running mate. Obama and McCain waged a fierce and expensive contest. Obama, still bolstered by a fever of popular support, issued federal financing of his campaign and raised hundreds of millions of dollars, much of it coming in small donations and over the internet from a record number of donors. Obama's fundraising advantage helped him buy massive amounts of television advertising and organize deep grassroots organizations in key battleground states and in states that had voted Republican in previous presidential cycles. The two candidates offered a stark ideological choice for voters. Obama called for a swift withdrawal of most combat forces from Iraq and a restructuring of tax policy that would bring more relief to lower and middle-class voters, while McCain said the United States must wait for full victory in Iraq and charged that Obama's rhetoric was long on eloquence but short on substance. Just weeks before Election Day, Obama's campaign seized on the economic meltdown that had resulted from the catastrophic failure of U.S. banks and financial institutions in September, calling it a result of the Republican free market-driven policies of the eight-year administration of George W. Bush. Obama won the election, capturing nearly 53% of the popular vote in 365 electoral votes. Not only did he hold all the states that John Kerry had won in the 2004 election, but he also captured a number of states, for instance, Colorado, Florida, Nevada, Ohio, and Virginia, that the Republicans had carried in the previous two presidential elections. On election night tens of thousands gathered in Chicago's Grant Park to see Obama claim victory. Shortly after his win, Obama resigned from the Senate. On January 20, 2009, hundreds of thousands turned out in Washington, D.C., to witness Obama taking the oath of office as president.